Welcome to another episode of the Radiant Achiever Show. Today's guest is Lisa McCallum, and I had the pleasure of meeting her several years ago when we were in the same workshop and retreat together. And I'm excited for our conversation today to hear about her callings. And before I bring her on, I would like to read her bio. So she's a relationship specialist. And as many of us following our calling, I know this came out of her own personal journey. And she shows people how to let go of relationships that are holding them back from achieving their dreams, especially the relationship within themselves. So they have the confidence and freedom to live their life on their terms. She's author of the book, Your Dreams First, The Divorce Within Yourself. She's an authority on helping people move forward after divorce. She has several programs she offers to support people in facing their stuck points and challenges. I will make sure all of that is included in the show notes. And she actually had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Phil at a mega success event hosted by JT Fox, where Dr. Phil said, people not only need Lisa's help, but deserve her help. She lives in Calgary with her children and has been recently nominated in the top 150 finalists in Canada as a Woman of Inspiration through the Universal Women's Network. Join me in welcoming Lisa. Lisa, welcome to the Radiant Achiever Show. This has been a long time in the coming, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today.
Oh, I am so honored to be here with you, Christine. Love it.
Yeah, good. It's great to see your face again. In your intro, I shared with everybody that we go back a few years and had met in person in a retreat, had been going through the same program, and I love it that we kind of speak some of that same language and have some of those same experiences that we share too. So,
Yeah.
as you know, this show is all about sharing our stories of the calling we've answered, how it came about, our obstacles, and I like to say we're just going to sit in the living room, which we're both in our living rooms here, and have a conversation. Sound good?
Yeah, this is great. Very warm and inviting. I love it.
Good. I that's what I aspire to achieve here. So I'd love for you to share a bit about the calling. I call it a calling. You might say it's a dream or a heart-centered something. What is that calling that you're currently pursuing, and how did it come about?
Yeah, I like your words too, that calling. And I like to refer to it too as it's an awareness, and it's a consciousness that starts to come to surface. And really how that all came about is a very big event in my life, two big events, which are a few years back. And that's two things. One was finally putting myself first, which was running and competing in Canada Ironman. But during that, as well as coming to that final conclusion for myself that my marriage was just no longer serving me or my former husband as well. It wasn't serving either of us anymore. And the two were side by side, all entwined with each other. And it was during this time that I recognized my own truth, which was that I shouldn't be in this marriage. I wasn't honoring myself at all. And also it was doing something very big for myself by doing this race. So I was in this event, and it was after that event that I really realized that, you know what? Everything is possible. I can do anything that I want to do. So after that and thinking, you know what, I got to move on here. I want to do what I want to do. And that was about putting yourself first. I realized that when you do that, there are so many other things that become available to us. So that was that real initial calling of
Wow.
that these are two huge things in my life, but I feel that are going to be actually some of the smallest things that I'm doing. There's more bigger things out there to
Right.
do, and it's possible. It's all
It's
possible.
all possible. I love that. So I have a question for you. I want to dive into this because you said you got to the point where you started putting yourself first. And I'm
Yeah.
curious if you could, dive a little deeper into that, in that, or did you feel like you just couldn't take it anymore, how you were showing up for yourself? Did something happen, or did you see this Iron Man and say, ah, something stir inside you? I'd love to hear a little bit of how you came to make that decision to start putting yourself first.
Well, the decision is, yeah, I think it's like a lot of women out there is that we're pleasing everyone else. We're doing everything for everyone else. And that there's so many reasons for it. You can't really blame one particular thing, but it's society, it's culture, your family of origin, maybe religion, a lot of different things that are saying do everything for everyone else, but you can't
Yeah.
be yourself. You're not really being your true self. So that's really it in a nutshell.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
kind of came to this awareness of, yeah, I'm not putting myself first, and it's time.
And
Yeah.
it's time. And that's because, too, I was so focused on someone else or my marriage, you could say him or us, as a big problem. What's wrong? What's
Mm,
wrong with our marriage? And I can't fix it. Trying to do everything I possibly can.
yeah.
And him too involved, all the different things that a lot of couples do. And you name it. I've been there, I've tried it. But just surrendering and
Mm,
by doing something for myself and being good and loving to myself, then that focus wasn't on all of this stuff. It was actually on something
right.
so beautiful and productive. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. So it sounds like that was really a kind of a turning point for you
Yeah.
in taking that stand, which is, I love saying that, like we have to put that stake in the ground sometimes and
Yeah.
take the stand for ourselves, and then what becomes possible, right? So you did the
Yeah.
Iron Man, the relationship ended, and at that point, and really doing those two things, those big events, then did that unfold other ways for you to serve, or other
Yeah.
passions and purposes for you at that point?
It sure did. The whole world started to open up to me.
Mm,
And one of them was by the course that we did through Feminine Power. That came to me. And then I met you and over 400 women globally who were feeling the same feelings as me. Maybe not necessarily that they needed to get out of a marriage per se, but
right,
a lot of the same feelings all over the world. It didn't matter where we were. It
right.
all had how we were raised, or the color of our skin or religion. None of this mattered. We all felt the same way, that there's more out there for us, a
Yeah,
bigger. Yeah.
yeah,
So
beautiful.
that started me just meeting so many people. Oh, there's so many things I've done since all of this.
Awesome. Well, I know you
Mhm.
wrote a book, and
Yeah.
how was, and my book just published, and I remember when your book came out, and how, like, that was amazing, and you did it, and yeah, how was that process for you? What did you? I looked at my journey as like, how did I grow from this? Was there anything, in particular that came out of it for you from a growth perspective?
Yeah, from a growth perspective, absolutely, because I didn't know how to write a book. Um,
Yeah.
how do you write a book? I mean, people are probably sitting here now going, oh my gosh, that's just so overwhelming. Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, there's obviously lots of people that can help you in a plan of action, but for me, it was just a whole healing process for me of writing everything down. And yes, the book was that in a nutshell. It was about this decision to end my marriage and at the same time pursuing this, lifelong dream of mine to compete in the Ironman. So I just started writing everything down and putting things together. But the process unfolded of meeting the right people, connecting to the right people. All of these things came to surface because I
Mm,
wanted. So by putting it out there, these things were coming back to me.
yeah, I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
the right people. So
Yeah.
some help me. I mean, yeah, how do I put it on Amazon? I mean, even my daughter creating the book cover to connecting to someone else that I know that introduced me to a writer's workshop, getting to compete in a competition with it, which catapulted me to write more and complete it. So these types of things. It took a long time.
Yeah.
And the title of that is Your Dreams First. So it's
Mm.
put yourself first.
Put your yeah, I love it, and part of what you mentioned is the exact same thing that I went through in saying yes
Mhm.
to my book, is that people showed up, guidance showed up, next steps
I
showed up. I was clueless. I had the starry eyes that, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna write a book," but once I started on that path, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, and if I think about as women and we're ambitious, we're successful, we're accomplished in a variety of ways, whether it's on the home and or out in business, we kind of got a lot of that stuff down. And then, but when we start doing things for ourselves,
yeah,
it's like the slate. It's just a blank slate, and you're starting, in many cases with nothing but an inspired idea or a calling.
yeah,
And so I love that two things you said. One is that things just started showing up when you started saying yes to you, and that solutions came to you as you journeyed down that path to publishing. And it worked out. You got it done. It took the time that it took, and
yeah,
it's out in the world now.
yeah. It's out there. And it's such
Yeah.
a healing process. You get to know yourself more and more and more. Did you not find that for you?
Oh, totally, totally. And it's like it's continuing to peel back the layers. I feel
Yeah.
some of my early healing work, and I'd love to hear this for you. And I'm totally not on the questions, but it's all good. Some of that early healing work was really dealing with how I like to frame those big rocks, right? The big conditioning of you're too much, you're not enough, you're whatever that is. And that once
Yeah.
the big rocks are kind of moved out of the way, and you start pursuing those things that are calling to you, it does like open up the world to you, and it's so fun and challenging still. So let's talk about some of the challenges. And
Yeah.
what's your current thing that you're working on bringing to life, and what are some of the challenges you're either facing now or that you've worked your way through and recently?
Well, what I find too, I'll take it back a bit, but I know all the obstacles are in my head.
Mm,
They're 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 not real. They're made up. And it, for example, it could be, yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm
yeah.
and I'm thinking, all right, so if I'm too much, so then I'm not worthy of this. Is that another, it goes on and on and
It
on
does.
and on. It doesn't stop. And that chatter that takes up the mind, it can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
So once you do one thing, just and something small, it doesn't, I don't know what that is, but you have accomplished that one thing. And we've all accomplished already so much. We all have. You can do more. So
Yeah.
right, yeah, I've worked on a lot of different things in this past year. Some different courses that I have. And I've realized that there's a lot of people out there, they just want someone to understand them. Just some
Mm,
someone to listen, to understand how they're feeling. And that, oh, okay, so you were feeling the same way. And look what happened because of that. You broke three of free of some old patterns, things that aren't serving you anymore. You can let them go.
Yep.
That's a job.
Yeah. So the your courses, and because I saw that in your bio too, is are they live courses? Are they recorded? And I guess if you're helping, if you're listening to people, I'm assuming it's live, but maybe it's a combo of things.
It's a combination. Yeah, they are recorded, but also with coaching that goes with them as
Mm, yeah.
uh, yeah, and
Yeah.
that one-on-one where it's just myself and client and going over all the different processes that I have
Right.
in there and the steps to let go and to put yourself first and to get over things and knowing, what's right for you, what doesn't sit right for you.
Right.
And
Right.
enjoying yourself, doing the things that you love to do on a regular.
Hmm. So do you have some like daily habits or routines or processes that you've used that keep you on track of, saying yes to you, putting yourself first, continuing to follow, what it is that's calling to you? Anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I have a lot of mantras. So
Mm,
with them, and I pretty much say them all as soon as I get up every morning and as soon as I go to bed. Those for sure. And daily exercise. I've got to get that in.
mm.
When I don't have that, I'm no good to anybody. I'm just not
Yeah.
function.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
many.
Got
Yeah.
it. Well,
Those
it's in,
two.
those are kind of the top good. I'm with you on that too. Like those, positive messages, whether I see it, read it, say it out loud. And it's interesting you brought up the exercise. And I know you have your Ironman, I did my fitness
Yeah.
competitions. And I really notice, and I've been really paying attention a lot lately to days, the types of workouts that I do. So I recently got back into doing in my living room, my coffee table's actually moved to the side, and I'm doing Zumba videos, like these little simple choreography, and I'll do 30 minutes worth. So it's like 8, 9, or 10, different videos. And it just lights me up. It's so much fun. And I've
Yeah.
seen you dance. So is dancing on some of your lives. Is dancing
I love
one of the
that.
things? Do you? Yeah. Yeah.
Just put some disco on in the disco ball and I can go
I don't
forever.
have a disco
Ever.
ball. I love it. Yeah, dance, right? So I think that's a huge thing for we both noticed and take advantage of. Because well, here's the other thing too. I like to talk about is and I love how, your experience with this, how much we've learned to live here in our heads.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when we dance, when we meditate, we do deep breathing, we reconnect with our body
Yeah.
and the power of really being in your body and tapping into your body wisdom. So
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's
yeah.
daily. It
Mm,
has to quite
hmm.
just for myself. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, could be a half an hour,
Yeah.
depends. Just to have that time just for me to, yeah, meditate. I pray to both of those things. And
Mm,
answers come, things come to you.
yeah.
You're having a lot of difficulty with, you don't have answers for. And they come, they come. And
Hmm.
burden off your shoulders, off of
Yeah.
your entire life. Yeah.
Sounds like you're explaining the power of inner listening, which is
Yeah.
one of the powers that I write about in Radiant Achievement. So if you so let's transition to that. Speaking of like inner powers, and I framed 7 in my book. There's a lot more than 7. People can frame things differently. If you were to pause and look at what are some of those inner powers, if we can frame it that way, that have been instrumental for you in continuing to step into that bigger version of yourself to in pursuing your calling and bringing your vision to life. That
Yeah.
inner, yeah, those inner powers. Anything
Well,
come
there's
to
a lot.
mind?
I'll sum it up as one, and that's intuition. So it's,
Mm,
and how the intuition comes out in me is through my body. And it's listening to, okay, what is my body telling me? So it's either telling me a yes, this is good, this is great, this feels good, or it's a no, this just doesn't sit well with me, it doesn't jive, there's not a good
yeah.
vibe about it. That can be with people, can be with
Mm,
places, all kinds of different things. So it's either, there's anxiety and there's tension and things that just aren't great with my back, my gut. Those are two things that are huge, and I won't go into detail with that. And that tells me, you know what, this just isn't feeling or sitting well with me. It's just not. But then
yeah.
thing is, it's easy, it flows, there's a peace to it. And I would also say it's not quick, it's nice and slow and flowing. So those
Mm,
two big things right there. And I teach a lot of that stuff through my courses, because then
yeah.
okay, this
Yeah.
stuff right for me, then great, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think we don't have to be a private investigator to figure them all out. It's just,
Right. Yeah.
I'm a private investigator, and that takes up way too much.
Oh, same here. Same here.
Oh,
So at what point did you really start to transition to really connecting with your intuition, honoring it, and following it? Was that as a result of those two big transitions for
yeah,
you, or yeah, same here.
I yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Because there was a lot, yeah, I mean, that was a lot of focus on the body, but not just the body, that's the mind, it's the soul. All of those things are getting stronger and stronger. You're building not just physical muscles, all those inner muscles in your mind, in your
Yes.
heart, your soul, to know, hey, I'm getting stronger here. I know what's right for me, and I know what it.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. I love it. And I know intuition, I feel that's one of the key superpowers that we have that we've been taught to ignore, to, use think smart, use your brain, use you know, your logic, whatever. And we've conditioned by society and friends and our parents and school to be here. So,
Yeah.
the more I know you're doing it in your work, I'm doing it in my work. I think it's really being reinforced more and more that we need to start with that and then back it up with logic, I think somebody said,
Yeah.
so really, really honor that. So,
Yeah.
what does radiant achievement mean to you?
Okay. Radiant achievement means to me that you're being your true self. And how you're being your true self and how you get there, that's a process. And it's that knowing your part in something. So taking 100% responsibility for your part in anything, your part in a marriage, your part at your job, your career, with your family, and saying, all right, I know my truth. And, saying sorry for things, being apologetic, but also, being sorry to yourself and forgiving of yourself. Because then once that happens, what I find is you're lighter, you're free. You
Mm,
don't have anything to worry about or to carry someone else's burdens, none of that stuff. And you're not miserable, you're not suffering. You can
yeah.
life and be free. You can look, and with that, you look younger, you feel younger.
Mm,
You say radiant, yeah, you're radiant, you're vibrant. And when you're vibrant on the inside, there is no way that it doesn't show on the outside in how you look, how you act, how people see you. They're seeing the real you, the true you. It's
yeah.
no other way. So, and again, that's a process of recognizing these things. When we're younger, sometimes this takes time to say, hey, that's what I did at the time with what I had. I didn't have these skills. I didn't know things, but it's okay because now you know them.
Yes. Yes.
Ah, now you know.
Definitely. Yeah, beautiful. I love your way you describe it. It is. It's being so true to yourself. It's like full alignment, and you that's who you are expressing in the world and what you do and everything. Love it.
Mhm.
So I suspect there may be some people watching or listening to this, Lisa, that are like wobbling. They're on the fence. Like there's a part of them that really wants to step into pursuing what their intuition is telling them, or what they hear or feel, but they have that other foot still pretty solid in the other side of the fence. What advice or suggestions would you give to somebody that's sitting at that place right now?
You know what I would say is that there's really nothing to fear. If you get right to it, what is the worst thing that can happen? And I can tell you it's not going to happen. There's
Yeah.
nothing to fear. When you're stepping, take the step. So that's the other part. Just do it. Whatever this is that you say, oh gosh, I don't know if I should leave my marriage. I mean, I can't tell you to leave your marriage here.
Yeah,
But
no, we're not giving
no,
any of that advice here.
but but listen to it. Let's delve more into it. And or what about this another job, or I want to move somewhere, or I want to write a book, or I want to run a 5K. I don't know, whatever that is. Take a step.
Yeah,
Take a
yeah.
step and delve into it. Delve in,
Mm,
go for it. Because that's where all the gifts are. That power,
mhm,
and there's nothing like it. It's invincible. It's remarkable.
right.
It's magical. And it's yours for the taking and experiencing
Mm, I love
it.
that. Take a step. It is one step. That's all that's necessary in this moment is one step. And how often do we um go so far, look so far ahead that it overwhelms us and it stops us.
Yeah.
So I want to say there's a question I didn't get that I didn't do. I want to go back to, and that really goes back to you and having said yes and really put that stake in the ground and pursued now multiple callings and passions and ideas that have come to you. Like, how have you changed, personally and professionally
Mhm.
since you started that journey? Like, who is Lisa today compared to who you were before?
All right. Lisa has a voice. I I
Love
don't
it.
speaking up and and asking for what I want, asking for help, asking
Mm,
and people come to you. They naturally do, like I mentioned before. You put it out there and they come. So yeah, in my life, in my being, I've got the confidence. I mean, I always thought I had confidence, but more and more now, just really knowing what I like, knowing what I want, these types of things, and knowing what I desire, and then putting it out there, taking the action, going for it, asking for help. And from a professional um, basis, oh my gosh, so many things like creating my own business, writing my own book, meeting so many people globally, interviewing Dr. Phil in LA. Who would have thought of that?
so cool.
In my wildest dreams, I wouldn't. And it's just from putting it out there, connecting to people. And then in Canada, being a top 150 finalist as a woman of inspiration through the Universal Women's Network. So all these things, I couldn't imagine or envision just by being true, taking the step, listening to the intuition, all of those things that we just talked about. My life
Right.
completely changed.
Right. So would you say you wake up or would you describe your life as I am living a turned on radiant life?
Well, it's not that every single minute.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I love that word. The turned on is really not how we might initially think of it, but it's we wake up in the morning and we are so excited because we are in the creative. We're the drivers of our life. We're in the creative
Yeah.
seat, the creation seat of our life, and we're doing things that are meaningful to us.
Yeah.
And and I see your posts, I see your messages and your videos, and the energy that I get is she's dialed into what's meaningful to her. She's bringing a powerful message that's important, to her at a core level, and she's deeply connected to it. And you're whether you're dancing with some music or you're giving some tips, whatever. I see such a authentic alignment with who you are. So that's inspiring.
Well, thank you so much. And I love how you just said those two words, dialed in.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that so much. And yeah, I'm dialed in. It's a more focused life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and more focused and not wasting time on anything that just doesn't sit right.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And you're dialed in. I mean, your book is absolutely outstanding. I've
Thank
read
you.
back, you know that. I did
Yeah.
every single question that's in there.
I love it.
Oh, so you have got the tools for leading a beautiful life. So anybody out there that
Right.
needs a book right now, that's
Yeah.
going to catapult them to move forward and get connected to themselves, it's your book.
Thank you, Lisa. I so appreciate that. So appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would love, before we wrap up today, for people to know how to connect with you. What's the best website and social media on if they're interested in learning more about you, your work, and who you are? How can they connect?
Okay, well, my website is lisamccallumtalks.com. And on there too, I do have definitely something free for you that just a few questions just to go over for yourself, get you thinking a little bit more about, well, what do I want? And how do I go about doing this and putting myself first? And most definitely my email, lisamccallumtalks@gmail.com is the best way. And then I can email you back and have a talk.
Awesome. Awesome, Lisa. Thank you for the information. I'll make sure it's in the show notes too, when it gets posted. So this has
Okay.
been super fun to connect and just again catch up and hear what you're up to, and really see where you were from, like similar stories. You were out there serving everybody else, and then you just said it's time for me to really reconnect and honor me, and you're doing that day after day. And
Yeah.
you're making a difference helping other women to do the same. So
Yeah, it is a radiant life. Absolutely.
yeah, good. Well, again, thank you for being here. And for our listeners, hope you enjoyed this episode of the Radiant Achiever Show. Bye for now.
Bye.